All right, guys. Coach Besler and I are here. We are looking at the top plays from the 2019 season from the offensive side of the ball. When you think of top plays, sometimes you think of SportsCenter top 10 and remarkable, type of physical, talented type of plays. And some of these are that, but some of these are just unbelievably great plays that changed the course of a game and changed the course of the season for our football team. And originally we decided we were going to go through the top 5 plays, and I think it ended up being the top 13 plays. So this might be a little bit longer than we originally thought, but it's kind of hard to cut it off. So I'm going to start here on the Mill Valley game. All right, this game was an unbelievable game, and the first game of the season for us against a great team. Obviously, Mill Valley goes on to win the 5A state championship game, and we were down 21-0 at halftime. Coach Besler came in at halftime and gave a great speech and got our guys fired up. But it's the third quarter, and we're down 21-0, and offensively, we were really struggling to move the ball. And Riley Cummings stepped up and had this run that not only flipped the field for us, but I think really energized our sideline and showed our kids that we can go win this game.
Yeah. There were just so many times throughout the season that it seemed like late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter, where Riley would just make an unbelievable run to not just change field position or get a drive going, but just to give energy to our team, belief in our team, and this is just a great example of that. Because if I believe Coach, I don't think they stopped us the rest of the game after this.
No, we went on to score, I think, 4 straight possessions after this.
Yeah.
And it really just energized us and the turning point of the game. And it, I don't know if anyone knew it at the time, but looking back, it was a turning point in the game and could have been a turning point in our season because that was a huge win for us. All right, same game here. This is the game-winning drive. It is tied up 21-all at this point, and we're on the 30-yard line going in, kind of stalled out a little too far away for a field goal. I think there's a minute or 2 left in the game, and take a timeout to try and figure out what to call on 4th and 4. And Coach Wright wouldn't stop saying throw hitch to Scotty. So we went with the brother-to-brother hookup here. Greg Riddle to Scott Riddle. Scott's up top here, throwing hitch into the boundary. This is not necessarily as easy a throw and catch as you might think. The corner's only playing about 5 yards off.
That's pretty cool. Brother connection. I think Coach Wright was even screaming that. They're freaking brothers. If they can't do it, no one can. And it was just a great throw and catch.
Good protection. They brought a bunch of people. Greg stood in there and got the throw away.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Here's the game-winning touchdown. Everyone in the building knew it was outside zone to the left, and it didn't really matter. Offensive line does an unbelievable job blocking it up. And obviously Riley, finishes the run off the way he always does, just running people over and getting into the end zone. All right, next game is the Bishop Miege game, and we've had our problems with Bishop Miege the last couple of years. Obviously, they're a really talented team, and this is the second quarter of this game, and it was a pretty tight ball game, and I think they had just scored, and our kids were kind of looking around at each other like, can we beat these guys or not? And this was a pivotal point in this game, and it really showed our kids that we can play with them. But David runs a double move here off of our RPO concept, a great throw and catch that really changes the game.
We saw they were playing a bunch of man. We did notice their safety number 1, who's a really, really talented player, was playing pretty flat-footed. He was kind of trying to jump some of our RPO concepts about 5 yards, so we decided to take a shot down the field, and Greg makes a really good throw, and David does what he does best, and that's run away from people.
All right, next up is the St. James game. At this point in the game, I think there's 2 seconds before halftime here. We were down 7-3. St. James was great on defense this year, super physical, and really, really we struggled with their defense and trying to move the ball. Luckily, right before the half, Andrew Bradley broke off a big run down our sideline and gets the ball down inside the 5. And we didn't do a whole lot with it, and we were stuck there. And it's 4th and 3 with 2 seconds to go before halftime. And so we call a timeout and trying to figure out what to run. And so we actually went with our 2-point conversion play here, which is kind of a jet sweep action to Scott Riddle, who used to be a quarterback. And he's going to take it on the jet and has the option to throw a smash concept over here to the right side, to the Twins receiver side here. And you can kind of see what happens. He kind of takes matters into his own hands and puts it in.
Scotty just finds a way to always make the right play, and that's in all the sports he plays. He's a guy that you can count on when it matters the most.
Good job up front, and just a great decision. How fast he has to make that decision, I don't think most people appreciate. It's not like he can think about that beforehand. He gets the ball, and he's supposed to throw it, and decides the best way to help us is to run it in. So he gets it done, and we ended up winning that game 10-7. No one scores in the second half. Here's another play from that game, and when I mentioned earlier that coaches' highlights maybe aren't the same highlights you would think of being on SportsCenter. This last drive of the game, we get the ball back with 5 minutes, I think, and it's a 10-7 ball game, and we get it on the -2, and our offensive line and backs did an outstanding job of just kind of moving the chains along and killing the clock, and so we're really just trying to burn the clock off here. But we flip the field and get to the +40, and it's 4th and 3, and I really did not want to go for it here, and so we called the double freeze, something we practice all the time and don't spend a lot of time on, but really trying to emphasize when we need it, it's going to be really important. And so this was a huge deal for us to be able to pick up the first down.
This win was huge for the season, for our program. I think this kind of catapulted us to kind of go on the run we went on this year. This was a huge game for us.
Yeah, and just finding ways to win close games. St. James is a well-coached team, and like I said, their defense was great. And for our offense field, and you can see the sidelines getting crazy. They knew that was the game. Okay, next up we got the Blue Valley North game, a game we win in double overtime. There's a lot of plays in this game that probably could have made the list, but this is probably my favorite. I think once we got into overtime, we ran outside zone every single time, every single play. It was just a matter of whether we were, where we were going to run it here. And we had just run it to the trip side. And so we decided to run it to the tight end side out of trips closed. Ike's over here, one of our defensive linemen who turned into a really physical blocker for us on the perimeter. He does a great job. And Riley does what he does best and gets it into the end zone. My favorite part of the run is, if you watch right down here, is Dr. Potts and how excited he gets.
It's a really, really good job by our whole side of the right side of the offensive line.
Yeah, Luke Floyd and Jared and Corbin all do a great job of working their double teams, keeping the shoulders square. Our defense held on to it in the second part of the overtime for the win. This is against Blue Valley Southwest. This is our inside zone play, our zone read play, and we've gotten better and better at it over the course of the season. But there's just so many different aspects to it to make it successful, whether it's the blocking up front or the backs path or the read component to it. And this is just probably one of the most well-run inside zone plays we've ran in a long time. And as the offensive line coach, I love the blocking up front, and Greg shows little wheels at the end to kind of run away for some people.
We probably go through this mesh 1,000 times every season. We tell our quarterbacks, you're never wrong if you give it. So when you do pull it, make sure you're right. And Greg was certainly right here, and he just showed his athleticism to finish it out from 58.
Got another outside zone here to the tight end side. We motion over. Riley has a great cutback, great read, shows off a little bit of speed, and then really just shows off who he is at the end, just running people over. This was a game where Northwest had came back on us a little bit in the third quarter, and this was the first play coming off of a kickoff return, and really just set the tone for the game. You know, Riley was always able to do that for us and really just bring that physicality.
I think they cut it to one score here, if my memory's correct. And some of our younger guys were like, I don't know about this, and that's when we just gave it to Beef and let him watch him do what he does best.
All right, next up is the Blue Valley game. This is the opening drive of the game. We started off pretty hot, get down to the plus 26, and kind of stall out. It is 4th and inches here, and instead of sneaking it, we had put this in, I think, a week or two before, a outside zone off of quarterback sneak. So the offensive line, the quarterback really sells that we're running quarterback sneak here to try and get the defense to tighten down, and that's exactly what they do. And Rocco and Scotty both do a great job with some key blocks, and then Riley finishes it off.
This is really good by Coach Corp to break one of our tendencies for the last couple of years and put this in, and then to have the courage to call it at a really, really big play in the game was really good by him.
Yeah, it definitely changed our kids' mentality of this game. To score first on that opening drive changed everything. All right, next up is the regional championship game against Shawnee Mission Northwest over at their place. Shawnee Mission Northwest decided that they were going to really stop our run game and play pretty aggressive man-to-man defense and leave a bunch of guys in the box to stop our run game. And so we let Greg air it out, and David had I think probably the best game of his career. I think he had over 250 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns, I think. So it was kind of difficult to pick out which throw and catch was the best, but I think this is my favorite.
Corners playing inside leverage, so we ran a little sluggo concept. Greg makes an awesome throw, and David does a really good job keeping his feet in bounds. This game was super windy. So Greg's thrown into about a 20-mile-per-hour wind here. It was below freezing. It was cold. Not the best conditions to air it out, but our quarterback and receivers did an awesome job this game.
All right, next up is the sectional championship game against Olathe North. And we didn't start off very hot. We were down 14-0 early. We're playing against a great player, the Simone Award winner. And defensively, they did a great job of limiting some of the stuff we really wanted to do. And so we were finally able to get down into the red zone right before halftime, and it ends up being, I think it was third and 13 or 4th and 13 maybe. And we needed some momentum going into halftime, and this gave it to us. We again went back to our 2-point conversion play here. So Scott Riddle comes in motion. He's going to come in motion across the formation, and we're going to give it to him on the jet. He's got the option to throw it over here normally or run it like he did in the St. James game. But this time we added the element of the quarterback sneaking back out and running the wheel down the sideline, and it worked out to perfection.
Omar does a really good job here, our 6'9" tight end, bringing attention from the safety and linebackers across the formation to kind of allow space for Greg to kind of sneak in behind.
Yeah, and that's what really, I think, gave us the momentum and told our kids that we have a chance to go win this game. We ended up tying it up and sending it into overtime right at the end of regulation. This is in the second overtime, actually. And we got the ball first and didn't do much with it on first, second, and third down. So it's fourth and 9 here from the 9-yard, 4th and goal from the 9-yard line. Call a timeout, and Coach Besler had wanted to install this the week before. Basically, it's a wheel stop route here with David playing number 3 receiver spot, which is a great man beater. We knew they were going to be playing man coverage. And so we had just put it in, maybe ran it a couple times in practice. And I didn't have a whole lot of thoughts going into this play here as far as, you know, what we should run. And he threw wheel stop out there and said, let's do it. And Greg ends up making a great throw on it and gives us a chance to win a game.
This is so good by Greg. You'll see here Riley doesn't get a really good job of setting the edge here, and Greg just takes a huge shot and hangs in there and delivers a great throw, and it's a great route by David. And I don't think a lot of people knew, but Greg was playing on a torn knee ligament this game. Probably the gutsiest performance I've seen it from a player at West in my time coaching here. Just an awesome performance by him to play through that injury, and that was a great play.
Yeah, so we ended up not obviously hanging on and winning it in double overtime there against a team that would, you know, go on to play in the 6A state championship. But you know, 13 offensive plays to me that really exemplified our season, and you got to get excited watching those.
That was cool.
All right, guys, thanks for checking in, and take care of yourselves. And I believe Coach Kopp and Coach Cat are going to have the defensive version of this here shortly.